And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Tonight's weather again showing next system, a weak front pushing some rain in across Aleutians just to the west of Atka. Another weak low here in Nunivak Island, keeping some moisture there right along the Kuskokwim Delta coast, maybe into Togiak Bay down to the Alaska Peninsula. Dry conditions, light winds, variably cloudy skies here. All of interior Alaska. Narrow band of possible shower activity just grazing the North Gulf Coast here. And then down along the Panhandle. This area moisture pushing northwestward brings a better chance of some light rain and showers across the southeast coast during the day tomorrow. Also some pretty brisk winds developing along the south and central coast. No change over the interior, partly sunny to mostly cloudy with light winds and dry conditions across all the state, all the interior state, all the mainland areas. Chance of light shower activity still possible along the southwest coast, Bristol Bay. And this system weakening, you can see the front now, just a weak trough, keeping some light rain showers going in the central Aleutians. Outlook for Monday, very weak lows, no big storms, about sums it up. Chance of showers here over the southwest part of the state. Very light showers if they do occur. And dry conditions, light winds, some clearing over all of interior Alaska. Maybe some isolated flurry action, mixed rain or snow, eastern Alaska range there, but very light and insignificant. Dry over the southeast coast. This system, though, will be pulling up Monday night and coming northward off the coast during the day on Tuesday. And for the coastal water forecast tomorrow, east winds 30 to 35 knots there for the south coast. East-northeast 25 knots, central coast, and 10 to 15 knot easterly winds for the north coast. Lynn Canal, Glacier Bay, northeast at 20 knots. Northeast 15 knots for Stevens Passage. Small craft advisories are Clarence Strait. Southeast winds 25 knots, sea 6 feet. And then for the day on Monday, small craft advisories on the south coast. Winds out of the east at 25 knots, seas 11 feet. Northeast to 20 on the central coast. North coast, north to northeast, 10 to 15 knots, seas 7 feet. Clarence Strait, northeast at 20 and north 15 for Stevens Passage. North 20 for Lynn Canal. For 3 to 4 foot seas over all of the inside channels. Prince William Sound tomorrow, light variable winds at 10 knots and light variable winds here at 10 knots for Cook Inlet as well. Light variable winds 10 knots for Kamishak Bay and the Barren Islands and the North Gulf Coast. Northeast winds 15 knots, 4 foot seas. And then for the day on Monday, north winds at 10 for Prince William Sound and variable winds 10 to 15 knots for Cook Inlet, north 15 for Kamishak Bay, northwest at 15 for the Barren Islands here. Seas only 3 feet though. Light variable winds for the North Gulf Coast at 10 knots with 2 to 4 foot seas. Kodiak Island winds light and variable for the day Sunday with seas 2 to 3 feet. West 15 to 20 knots for the winds for the Alaska Peninsula with seas running anywhere from 2 to 7 feet. In Bristol Bay, back it up here, almost forgot them, southwest at 10 knots, seas 4 feet. Bristol Bay on Monday, variable winds, 10 knots, seas 3 feet. Alaska Peninsula, variable winds at 10 knots, seas 3 to 4 feet. And Kodiak Island, light variable winds at 10 knots with seas 2 to 3 feet. Eastern Aleutians, west-southwesterlies tomorrow, 15 to 20 knots, Adak and Atka, southwest at about 20 knots. And then westerlies, 20 to 25 knots there from Amchitka Island to Shimia. And for Monday, west-northwest, 15 to 20 knots for the western Aleutians, central areas, west-northwest at 20 knots, and 20 to 25 knot winds out of the west and northwest for the Fox Islands. Southwest coast, southeast winds 10 to 15 knots. St. Lawrence Island, southeast wind at 5 knots, seas 2 feet. East 15, though, for Norton Sound, with seas at 3 feet. Light variable winds for the northern Bering Sea, west at 15 for the Pribilofs. Light variable winds for the Pribilofs on Monday, north 15 there, St. Matthew Island. 5 knot winds for St. Lawrence Island, Yukon Delta coast. East at 10 for Norton Sound. East winds 10 knots for the Kuskokwim Delta coast. Seas really laid down across all the eastern, along the coast here, and 5 feet for the Pribilofs and St. Matthew Island. Eastern Beaufort Sea coast, well, central and east side here, west winds 10 to 15 knots, 2 to 3 foot seas. For the west side, east winds 10 to 15 knots with 2 to 3 foot seas. Same thing for the Chukchi Sea, east winds 10 to 15 knots. And for the day Monday, not much change here. Western Arctic coast all the way down to the Bering Strait. East winds 15 knots, seas 3 feet. East at 10 for the Central Arctic coast. Eastern Boulevard Sea coast, east winds 15 knots with 3-foot seas.